Delighted to be here. My particular expertise in avocado is eating them. And there's a lot of slides here, and I know I'll get barracking from Avo Australia, so I've got to go straight into it. When I was sort of just getting ready for this talk, what I noticed, Avo's the second best-selling tropical fruit in the world by 2030. The value of world Avo exports will be billions. Along with berries, fresh berries, they're really high category growth, and I thought, why would you bother coming here? Just cash out now while you can, frankly. But so things look really good if you look at the big numbers. But then as I get around the world, and I do, I can't help but notice that, not least in South America, that there's plantations of avos going in. It's just sort of astonishing sometimes. It takes your breath away and think, oops. And so I don't want to sort of lower the tone, but just quickly, my cautionary tale for avos, and I'm using the dreaded commodity trap, that using bananas from the UK as an example. So over the last 18 years in the UK, banana prices at retail have gone from $2 Australia per kg to about $2 Australia kg. And, is that great? No, and they're all, 99% of them are Cavendish. And you can see this, it's very difficult to differentiate in that market. And here's my concern. If I look across retail fresh produce departments, I see ample evidence of commoditization, sometimes in avocado too. So it's just, I see internationally like relentless price pressure, particularly on the value lines. And really, if you want to be anywhere in avos, you want to be at the premium end of the market, I would suggest. Coming here, coming via Bangkok, and what did I notice there? Brilliant that avocados and grapes are just everywhere in the major supermarkets, not least Tops, which is, for my mind, the best chain in Thailand. But it also showed me that there was confusion just flourishing, that I was trying to work out which of the avocados were which, for goodness sake. Which one would I buy? No clue, really. So not great signage. So yes, watch it. Watch commoditization. What's driving the overall market for food, moving away from avocados for the moment, but avocados are influenced, it's, of course, the so-called cost of living crisis. And one measure of that in my market is if I look at fresh produce retail value market share for our big retailer, which is Tesco, the sort of Woolies of our market. And you can see it's under continual pressure. We've got two hard discounters, Aldi and Lidl, as they inexorably every year manage to take grocery market share off the big supermarket chains, and that just puts more and more pressure on price. Okay, if I look at the Australian market on the left-hand side, again, the cost of living crisis. I think I was doing it in US, but I would guess 40% of households in Australia are struggling. They're looking at their mortgage prices, they're looking at the price of food, they're looking at maybe schooling for some people, and say it's very, very difficult for us. We want low prices, and it's no different wherever I go, actually. So across to the US. If you look at income per household by quintile, so split everything up into 20%, the bottom 20% of households on income in the USA are spending 30% plus of their total income on food, and whereas the top end, lots of income, and the proportion they spend on food is next to nothing. And so you have income haves and income have-nots. But what drives retail is the income have-nots, I would suggest. I popped this in because I was told to, but I wanted to anyway. It's the cost of living crisis, greenwashing, and shopping difficulties related to green purchases have reduced consumer focus on sustainability issues. But the movement towards green food is irrevocable. So what am I saying here? That actually, of course, sustainability, the environment, is really, really important to consumers, but they're saying at the moment, look, I've got too many worries on my plate just at the moment. Just hold off. I'll come back to worrying about sustainability. And anyway, when we get into the supermarket, it's bloody difficult to find. It seems expensive. I'm not an expert. We don't know how it all works. I'm too busy to be shopping around. I want to be in and out, for goodness sake. So, but it will come back. It'll come back big time. Okay. Looking to grow the market for avocados, it's already been said, visit countries with the highest per capita avo consumption. Well, hang on, that's Australia. You know, that's it. We come to look at your market and say, oh, that's how you sell lots of avocado. It's not sort of at Mexican or Chilean levels. But I've just a reminder, popping in here, in many markets, the routine of breakfast, lunch, dinner is being abandoned by younger consumers, and they're way, way, way more interested in snacks and mini meals. And so it's food purchases, it's more about grabbing something on the go. It's about finding food and drink that can sort of bend and twist and fold itself into my modern life. So watch out, see what happens to food products that they buy. I'll show you in a minute. So here we go. How do you sell more? I was talking, as one does, at the International Blueberry Summit a couple of years ago, and I like this. Breakfast, you do well. I mean, you introduce the smashed avo and poached eggs. We thought that was wonderful in Europe. Never thought of doing that. Brilliant. But then how can you use it as a snack? And, of course, gifting, and there we just have to look to Asia. They're way, way better at gifting fresh produce items than we are. So let me just pop to Tesco, so our major retailer. What I wanted to show you here is that I went on there. So we buy online for our grocery. On the first page of Avo products in the UK for Tesco, there's 4 whole fruit and 6 processed Avos, okay? And so if we Tesco ready-to-eat large avocados each, where do they come from? And this is on their website. If you want, sauce, we're very interested in sauce in the UK. Well, it comes from one of the following 10 countries. Chile, and it's on the website. You can read them all yourself. What do we expect to pay for an avo? I'm looking at the Tesco Club Card price. For the large, ready-to-eat, the super ones, about $1.50 Australia. That would be, in our mind's eyes, that's about what you pay. Okay, so what about the process? Why would you buy process? Well, if you're that under 30s, if you're Gen Z, as they say, and just here's some examples. Holy moly, they're such a good company. They've just launched their fully loaded nacho kit. Because remember, somebody who's under 30, when they go to a grocery store, they don't buy what my mum used to call, just to use an old-fashioned term here, my mum used to go to a grocery store and she used to buy things, sorry about the old-fashioned stuff, she used to buy things called ingredients. If you're under 30, no chance. You buy the meal or the snack, like let's have the nacho fully loaded, or the holy moly, the guacamole, etc. Holy moly just introduced their first guacamole chip and dip snack pot, for example. Great. Incidentally, here's Heinz saying, well, you could actually dip into our wide-necked now just to get into that snacking market for Heinz ketchup. That's smart, isn't it? And here I was again, back to Tops. What's the best-selling there? It's the avocado smoothie. Just a brilliant product. I mean, I'm not going to make one at home. Just buy it, for God's sake, and put a little top of honey in, as they do there. Wonderful. And what about snacks? Well, there are fruit snacks galore. It's extreme competition, I think, for the fresh product. You can see all sorts of avocado snacks coming in there. Moving on. But then how do they move the market forward in the US? Brilliant. Carpe diem. Seize the day. How many can you sell? How many avos can you sell for the world, for their football, for the Super Bowl final? But I was sort of intrigued when I looked at the stats that more than 1 million Aussies watched the Super Bowl. I mean, if I was you, I'd be really pushing, do what the Americans do. Get into guacamole for, on the day. There's no reason why you can't celebrate that here. Or indeed, Cinco de Mayo, which Mexicans have always celebrated when they beat the French 100 years ago in a military outing. But in the US, because of the high proportion of Mexican residents, it's huge. I think that would go well here too. You like Mexicans, you like Mexican food. Quickly, moving on, I looked at the top, who are the top players, and there they are, and you'll know them all, but I've picked Westphalia Fruit which was mentioned, that's from South Africa. And I was working with them, and boy, was I impressed with them. I just thought I'd show you quickly. Westphalia it's South African, but they're in 10 countries. They're vertically integrated R&D all the way to retail. It's whole fruit to all the value-added avos. And they operate just like a branded FMCG company. It was terrifying to see how good they were when it came to marketing. They were just sort of brilliant. And so here we go. Here's their top end. So the good, better, best. Of course, they offer that. And Gem Gourmet is their best. In the UK, that is marketed on their behalf by Corriggio, which is the marketing agency that actually markets so well Pink Lady from Australia too. So that's the top end. But then if I look, what else have they got? Of course, guacamole. Of course, they've got smashed avocado, and they've got branded versions of these. They've got the oils. They've got the avocado pit-based exfoliant, the cosmetic avocado oil. They do IQF, individual quick frozen avocado slices and dices for the food service trade. And what's more, they're using the pit too now for a particular sort of dye which is used in the textile industry. Are they good? They're damn good at it. Worth a look. Moving on, I'm intrigued. Of course, people around the world say, we want to eat avocados because they taste brilliant, but they're really healthy. And when you say to them, well, how are they healthy? They say, don't know, but they're really, really healthy. And certainly in store, if I look around the world, avocado is doing a brilliant job of keeping the good health news secret. Yeah, quite. Why would you do that? Ask yourself, who's it good for? What specifically is the health benefit to me? And it depends who me is. Are you under 30 or are you, at advanced age like myself? Now, who does it well? Here we are with the top blueberry brand in China, Jovio. They know it's about eye health. It is about eye health, blueberries. And is that important to Chinese consumers? Yes, it is. You want to be on the nail, I suggest. And we do that badly. I think I like to see Zespri doing it. And what's more, they're not shy. And here we are, 3 times the vitamin C of an orange. Vitamin C supports your immune system. If you're interested in that, it's good for your immune system. So don't be shy about telling customers about the health benefits. Here we go with Pink Lady. It's not a health message there. It's just well promoted in markets. This apple in my market often gets a 250% price premium over all other apples. It's just astonishing. It doesn't go down well in Australia for some reason because you say, damn, it's just Crips Pink or whatever. This is a big brand where I am, I can assure you. What have we got? Oh, just finishing. So, look, expect the unexpected from international politicians, like the President of the USA, but also social media and the press. I was completely intrigued. Again, I was just starting to prepare for this back in, March? And then suddenly out of the blue, right across social media and across all the papers, it was pointing out how risky avocados were. And so what it is saying here, cut down on those avocados and avoid ways to avoid A&E, which is accident and emergency. This is American research showing that it was the principal risk of doing damage was cutting open an avocado. I thought, oh my Lord. And that got so much press that one of our great celebrity gardeners, God love him, here he is, then decided, well, this is a good opportunity. Instead of cutting your hands, one way to get over the problems associated with avocados is not buy them because they're bad for the environment. And his particular criticism was that it was too heavy on water. And that's something else that I've noticed just as looking around the world, that people are unsure about the good and bad things of the crop. And again, there are myths out there that it sort of sucks up all the known water of this world. Well, if that's not the case, then tell them so. And that's me done. Thanks very much.